Breaking news, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois is joining us. He's a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, should the president pull out of the Iran nuclear deal next month?
It depends what his follow-on strategy is. I think it's a really bad deal. And in fact, when Secretary Kerry was in front of my committee before we had the nuclear deal, he said, we're willing to walk away. And I knew they were not willing to walk away. And Iran knew that, and they extracted a lot of concessions. You know, my question when Macron was here, who I have a great deal of respect for, he said, well, I want the deal to continue, but I also want to create another deal when it comes to Iranian behavior in the area, ballistic weapons, ballistic missiles, things like that. And the question is, how do you do that without any kind of a stick approach? Iran basically got everything they wanted in this deal, including a lot of cash which they are now expending in Syria and other places around the area. How do you get them back to the table to get a broader, more comprehensive deal? And I think the president and his team are looking at this saying, look, the nuclear thing is one thing, and in 15 years, or actually in 10 years, they're going to be able to sprint towards nuclear weapons anyway. But in the meantime, we have all this broad behavior that we have to do something about, and maybe we can wrap all this together.
Well, so let me just repeat the question. He's got to make a decision, the president, by May 12th. Should he rip up the deal from the U.S. perspective?
Well, he knows the follow-on strategy. That's what I don't know. So if there's no follow-on strategy, I don't think he should do it on May 12th. But I do think he has a follow-on strategy, in which case, sure, let's get out of it and try to find a better way to get a deal that broadens to Iran's behavior. Look at what they're doing in Syria and elsewhere. This idea that this is something magic, it's just not.
The International Atomic Energy Agency, the 5 other countries involved, the UK, France, Germany, China, Russia, they all say that the Iranians are honoring what they lived up to. They're honoring the commitment to freeze their nuclear program, the other aspects of it. They're not cheating. So why would you support ripping up the deal?
Well, 2 points. Number one, all those allies who I have a great deal of respect for said President Trump was being too angry with Kim Jong-un and with North Korea. Secondly, as we found out from the Israelis today, and I'd love to be able to read all that information that the Prime Minister had, Iran has lied. They lied to the IAEA. They have been pursuing ballistic missile capability, even though the whole premise of the deal was based on the fact that it was for peaceful atomic energy. So look, if the president decides to stay in the deal, I trust him on that because I think he'll have a follow-on strategy. And if he decides to get out, I guarantee there's a follow-on strategy that's beyond just, we're going to walk away and now see y'all later.
Would pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal undermine a potential nuclear deal with North Korea? Clearly, the president wants the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
No, I don't think so, because a deal with North Korea is not going to be flawed. I think that's been very clear. This president has invested a lot of energy in saying that the Iran deal was bad and that he's going to have a good one in North Korea that's verifiable, that's solidified. Plus, you put somebody like a Mike Pompeo and the team around the president, I have no doubt that it will be a verifiable, solid issue if we do it. There's some bargaining chips we can bargain with. So to say we're going to walk away from Iran deal, if we actually end up doing that, I think can actually strengthen the president's hand to not just get a deal in North Korea, but to get one, unlike in the past, that actually works.
The president's new national security advisor, John Bolton, says North Korea should look to Libya as a model for denuclearization. Given what happened, though, to Muammar Gaddafi, the late Libyan leader, isn't that the wrong message to be sending? Kim Jong-un, Gaddafi gave up its nuclear program after the Iraq war, and all of a sudden, a few years later, he's gone.
Now, I think it actually should be a lesson to Kim Jong-un to treat your people a little better, because otherwise they're going to rise up and kill you. And that's what happened in Libya. In Libya, the people rose up against Muammar Gaddafi. He would not have had a full nuclear arsenal by then. People just don't like to be oppressed. That happens in Syria and elsewhere. And then at that time, the U.S. and our allies, and I think we should have been more aggressive in the follow-up of what happened in Libya, but we came in and supported the free aspirations of the people of Libya. I think that's a lesson to Kim Jong-un, frankly, to Bashar al-Assad and dictators all around the world, that if you abuse your people, they're going to rise up and you're going to die ultimately basically in the back of a pickup truck by being stabbed.
The president says the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has been very straightforward so far. Do you think the North Koreans are serious about full denuclearization, which what the president repeatedly says that means giving up all their nukes?
I don't know. I don't trust North Korea at all. I've seen too many situations in the past where they have acted genuine, and we led to a really bad situation, you know, especially under Clinton, et cetera. So, you know, I wouldn't say these things necessarily about Kim Jong-un, but at the same time, if this is an opportunity, and you know, there's all this rhetoric, that's one thing, but when we ultimately come to a conclusion on this, if it is solid and it is, you know, correct and it's verifiable, and we can have inspectors in North Korea that aren't going to be played with and other things, the president deserves a ton of credit on this. And to be where we are now, we cannot overstate the importance of this moment. This is the height of diplomacy. If this fails, then I fear the only thing left is either North Korea gets a nuke or there's military action. That's it.
Yeah, well, the consequences could be enormous. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.